The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
Greetings and welcome to another episode of Bermuda's Feel Good Early Morning Show. Good day, Bermuda, supported by Pete's House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jackie Lambert, and we want to thank you for getting up early with us on this Wednesday morning. Jackie, how are you feeling? It is Hump Day, middle of the week.
Hump Day. I'm good.
That is good. So it looks like we have. Well, I'm ready to bring feel good vibes to the audience. Looks like we have Kathy here with us, and it looks like Sean Smith, the time changed for him. So what are you showing, an hour ahead? An hour behind what you were, or hour ahead? Would it be falling back, right?
Daylight savings because it's fall, so fall back and spring forward.
Right. So it looks like Sean. So what is it? I don't know. Sean, tell us what time it is where you are. Jackie and I can't do the conversions off top right now. It's too early for us.
I don't have the app. I don't have Portugal on my weather app.
So clearly you need to add that. Well, we both need to add that so that we know what time it is in Portugal. As y'all can see, Jackie and I are definitely ready to bring some feel good vibes to you this morning. Make sure that you go ahead and share this episode with your circle. Take a minute to share the link right there on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and drop the link in your favorite WhatsApp group chat. And to all of our tweets over there on Twitter, make sure you retweet it. Today, our feel good topic of the day is a Bermudian success story. We have Darren Woods backstage, and we are going to be discussing the story of Hype Kings. And if you want a laugh to get your morning started this morning, make sure you stick around for joke time with Jackie. As always, we're going to get our episode started with our feel good warm up. We want to know a wonderful thing that happened to you yesterday. Let us know in the comments something amazing that happened to you yesterday. It was Tuesday, our first show back this week. Jackie, yesterday. No, yeah. Tell me a wonderful thing that happened to you yesterday.
Girl, I woke up.
Number one.
Yeah. No. Yesterday was pretty like normal.
Regular?
Guess. Yeah, very regular, I guess. Nothing stands out, to be honest. Maybe
you did get, so with the travel. Mm-hmm. You have certain days you have to do all your testing and stuff like that. So are you grateful that you don't have to do like the 20 odd tests when you travel back? No.
But I still have 2. But yeah, it sounds better. Mind you, because I don't know, it doesn't bother me too much, because when I was out there, I was just like, all right, I need to get a test, and everybody's just like, for what? I'm like, I'm been around people. I just want to know my status. But I do that here too. I do that here where I'll be like, I was around a lot of people today. The odds are I need to go get tested just in case.
Absolutely. So I had to do that yesterday as well. We went to the Bulls hair testing location, and they actually questions of what why you're here to get your test, and like every time my answer is I want to know my status, and I always wonder, like, do they care really? Like, I mean, like them personally, obviously they do care because they have to write it down, but they're probably just like, okay, whatever, girl, bye.
Probably look. I feel like sometimes because I've done that, I'm like them, coming to get my status, and they look at me, and I'm just like, Yeah, I probably don't need to because I haven't been going anywhere.
Right.
But like you still encounter people at the grocery store, the gas station, and not everybody knows the status, so it's still good to know. Because I still, work with kids, and kids can protect themselves, or
Exactly.
seniors. I just want to be able to make sure that I'm not putting anybody else else's health in jeopardy.
Exactly. And so it looks like Sean Smith is 5 hours ahead of us in Bermuda. Okay, cool. So it's what, 12 o'clock there. Okay, so
You're awake. Actually, that's around
Really
my
awake.
like that's vacation nap time.
vacation nap time. So it's definitely not workday nap time.
Well, maybe sometimes, maybe squeeze it in
Tuesday.
like half an hour.
Power nap. All you need is a power nap.
Half an hour is a real nap. A power nap for me is like 5 to 10 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, I can't.
It takes me
How long are your naps?
I mean, it definitely takes me a good minute to actually go into my nap. So I feel like 5 minutes is like my nap warm up. Like that's when I'm like, I need at least 15 minutes or 20-minute nap. So like 5 minutes to
so half an hour,
basically.
No, like a half an hour. I wake up and I'm good till about 9:30
in the evening, right? Because that's like crash time.
It's just like, and we're gone.
We're gone. So it looks like Jamal says that the Atlanta Braves are something wonderful that happened yesterday. So I'm assuming that the Braves won their game.
I saw everybody kept posting it on my WhatsApp status, and I was just like, I don't. That's a sport I don't really. Yeah.
I'll be honest, I'm not into the baseball as well, but I'm for all teams Atlanta. So it doesn't matter what sport it is. If it's an Atlanta team, if Atlanta has a team, I'm for them. I've only been to one baseball game in my entire life, and it was really about the experience of the people that I was with. Like there was nothing about the game. I didn't know what enemy was in half the time. I didn't know how many outs we hit. I just wasn't paying attention to the game. But it's definitely a great experience. I could definitely say that. Absolutely. If you want to.
I've never been to I've never been to one. I would absolutely do it. I don't know. I don't have a team, so I would go literally just for the experience. And I don't know who are the rivals, who are the best games to watch. Games. I need to know, like, all right, Jack, this game is epic. We have to go. The atmosphere is going to be off the chain. Let's go. And then I'll enjoy it. Like I watch softball here, and I find that enjoyable. But I know everybody. I shouldn't say everybody, but I know a good bit of people here, and I did have a team, but I don't even know the name of the team. But most of the people most of my friends were on this team, so I was just like, "That's my team. What's their names?" No, okay. So that's how I would watch that sport. Watch baseball, but I didn't. Oh, actually, it's softball in Bermuda, right?
Yeah, it's softball that I've seen mostly. Yeah.
Same difference.
It is the same sport. I think the only difference is how they pitch. Because like softball's underhanded, whereas baseball's over, and
I also thought it was
the same rules.
I thought there was a difference in the actual ball as well.
Like the ball's a little bigger in softball.
Right.
The baseball ball is smaller and a little harder. Like I think, but generally speaking, it's literally the same sport. Like
same thing.
When you take out some of those little nuances, it's basically the same sport at the end of the day.
I feel like baseball is similar to golf for me. I only watched the last few holes.
Right. And it's about to be over.
Right, like the last 8 holes. I feel like that's where it really gets exciting. But before that, it's just like, oh, that's a good shot. Oh, congratulations. But when it starts to get tight, and it's just like, it's almost like watching a running race. Like after the first 10 miles, you're just like, oh, that's good. But it's those last 10 miles, you're just like, are they going to pull through? Are they going to, even watching track and field, when they're doing the 1500 or the 400, it's only exciting really at the tail end of it. So that's how I feel about when it's really getting tight and who's going to win. Kind of same with basketball, but basketball is like my jam. So.
I think basketball, it moves so much that honestly, if you get bored in basketball, you just don't like the sport. Because it's too fast. Always changing. The court's small, and just the pace of the game, like you said, is fast. Yeah. And so I want to come to this comment from Sean Smith. He said a wonderful thing that happened to him yesterday was that he spent time with his youngest son watching football on TV. Was it the real football or American football? Which football? What team did you guys watch? For me, I would say that a wonderful thing that happened to me yesterday is that I got some goodies from Jacky and Shanta, who is she was like, wait, what did I give you?
I was all excited. I was like, wait, me? Forgot about that.
From Jacky and Shanta, who's the operating, well, she works behind the scenes. She helps schedule our guests for Jacky and I on the show. And so I have something. So tomorrow, our feel good vibe of the day is going to be a different feel good vibe. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. We're actually going to ask you to guess what you think that feel good vibe of the day is. So if you want to go ahead and do that right now in the comments, let us know what you think our switch up is going to be. But don't worry, we're still going to have joke time with Jacky. It's not going anywhere. So you'll definitely continue to get your laugh on. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we will be back with our guest of the day, which is Darren Woods of Hype King. So make sure you do not go anywhere.
Same smooth sounds, different name. BCG Radio, home of Bermuda's most engaging morning talk shows, The Daily Hour and Good Day Bermuda. Download the app, available for Android and Apple devices. BCG Radio, your station for conversations and entertainment.
Welcome back to Good Day Bermuda, supported by Pizza House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Tuku alongside Jacky Lambert. And if you're just joining us, we're getting ready to switch to our feel good topic of the day. We are going to be discussing the story of Hype King, with Bermudian success story, Darren Woods. Now, yesterday, if you watched our show, Jacky and I discussed some inspirational Bermudian man. And we did give you guys a little tease, a little preview to let you know that we were going to be having today's guest on. So without further ado, I actually just want to bring him in and welcome him to Good Day Bermuda right now. So good morning, Darren.
Morning, ladies. Morning.
Morning, D.
How are you doing? Yes.
Finally got one of my favorite people on the show.
Don't hype me up too much.
It's what I do.
Wow. Since you said the word, for those that don't know, Darren, what is Hype Kings? Let's start there.
All right. So Hype Kings is a program. I work for the Ministry of National Security's Gang Violence Reduction Team. And the Hype Kings is actually one of our primary school initiatives that we partnered with Living Legends to run. And this program is basically set up for primary school students in selected schools that we work with the Ministry of Education. And we deliver a 12 to 16 week specialized curriculum built up to help these guys to really start to look at the inner king and who they are, what they want for themselves, to help them build their self-confidence. And so we build up specialized, very experiential curriculums for these guys in sessions. And we meet with the Kings once a week for the 12 to 16 weeks. And we build a fun program that they really, really enjoy.
I love that you keep referring to them as kings because, sometimes, we say young boys and age-wise, I get it. But I love that you guys use that term intentionally.
Yes, definitely. Got to know who you are.
Absolutely.
So just to go a little bit deeper, but why do you think an organization or program like this is very important for the community? Because I know why it's important, but let everybody else know why it's important.
Yeah. We have a lot of programs in middle school. We have a lot of programs in high school, and the need for prevention in our community to kind of help our young boys turn into the young men that we want them to be. You have to start at a much earlier age. In the schools, we're seeing the need for the support, and we're seeing the need that these young guys have to have a safe space where they can come, where we can talk, and where they can get information, and that they can learn. And we can teach them things that aren't necessarily taught in the classroom, and sometimes are not taught in some of our kids' terms. And so we teach and we work with them and give them a safe, fun space for them to just be themselves and have fun.
So since this is an educational program, we kind of want to know, what is your educational background? Because we know that everyone has obviously their own path, their own journey. So what for you, like, what was your educational background, and how did you kind of decide that this was something that you were passionate about or you wanted to get into?
Yeah. So actually, my original degree is in finance and accounting. And I was working, and I came back to Bermuda, and I was working in accounting. I absolutely wasn't for me. Um, I then did a few other jobs and had always done a lot of work with young people. I landed an opportunity at the Family Center as a community support worker, where I worked there for 7 years and helped to build and design their Youth Leadership Academy programs and their Beyond Rugby programs. During that time, I took the time out to go and get my master's in social work. So with my master's in social work and counseling, I was able to then do to really ingrain myself and really understand what I was doing as a community support worker a bit more. After that, at Family Center, I moved on to my next challenge, which was on the gang violence reduction team. And my role here is I'm the youth outreach and community manager here. So I run a lot of the youth programs. So we have various youth programs, and the Hype Kings is one of the ones that me and my team specifically designed for the young men. Yeah, so that's my journey.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And before you go, Jack, I just wanted to ask, like, because sometimes when people get a degree in social work, they kind of come back home and they're a little bit discouraged because they say that there is a need for people to do social work, and then when they get into the work, it's heavy. It's a lot of work to do. So can you just speak to how you were able to, I guess, overcome any challenges that you may have had with, navigating that career path and like finding employment?
Yeah, I really lucked out in finding employment. I came into Family Center at a time where they were looking. One, I think there's a lack of males in the space. So me being a young male who was eager and ready to learn, who was open, I came in at a really good time. And I guess then the second part of that question was the mental health and how I take care of myself. I've worked on teams, and I'm blessed to have always worked on teams that really support you mentally. So I can go in one of my coworkers' office to offload, to debrief, to talk through a full situation, to share how I feel about it. And we're all trained counselors in that space. And so that's a really helpful tool. Where I am now, I actually, when dealing with stuff around the gang violence reduction team, I'm actually called out whenever there's an incident or a shooting, or I can be called out into the area or into the hospital and the community response team. And so post those events, I typically have my own counselor, my own trauma counselor, specifically around trauma, that I go and see after incidents, or even just check in when things get tough for me. So yeah.
Wow, that's powerful.
I'm glad you said that, because we take mental health seriously on this show. We talk about it at least once a day.
Yeah.
Every episode. So it's, you and I have a personal relationship. So I am always constantly trying to be like, hey D, you good? So to know that you have somebody else that you can talk to if I'm not available is definitely comforting. But I just want to switch back over to Hype Kings a little bit more, because you did say that you guys created this, right? Specifically. What was the process behind creating it? Do you guys have a mission statement? Like, what is the mission statement, and what do you guys want to happen with Hype Kings?
Yeah, so Hype Kings is really to catch young people at an earlier stage. And so the process for designing it was that we knew we wanted to build a program that would be delivered in our primary schools. We wanted to create something that content-wise, we were reaching the young people where they were at the stages, and delivering content and a curriculum that met them where they were. We wanted it to not be just a general program for everyone to join, but we really wanted it to be targeted for the young boys that really needed it. And we look at the behaviors and things that they're struggling with in school, and we really build upon those skill sets. And so, like, if I look at some of the topics that we guys discuss, in our sessions, we have a session kind of on my life. We have sessions, my brother's keeper, my inner king, stepping outside of your comfort zone. My circumstances is where we relate the young men to each other. We go around and we share 3 different things: one small thing, one big thing, and one really, really big thing that affects you and that you struggle with. And it kind of normalizes. And in that session, it's the deeper session. It's one of the deeper sessions that we have. We cry together. It's tears. But we also have a lot of fun in a lot of the other sessions, and they're really experiential and hands-on. It's not just standing in the classroom and listening. We'll bring Bermuda squad in to push you out of your comfort zone. So we'll do a lot of different things to help you to push through, and it's really gotten really good feedback from the young people, the parents, and the school.
That's awesome. And I actually want to come back to something that you mentioned, because yesterday when we started talking about inspirational Bermudian man, one thing Jacky had brought up was allowing our young boys to be emotional, let them get out those emotions. And you just shared how you guys have had moments where you've cried together. Obviously, you've laughed together, you've danced together, all of that. Can you speak to the importance of allowing the boys to embrace that emotion, and how has that changed your life, but also how have you heard back from the boys and how that's changed them? Because we hear all the time, stop crying, your boy, man don't cry. We hear that narrative all the time. But can you just speak to any feedback you've gotten from the young kings, and how that has also changed your perspective?
Yeah, you can it's pretty clear. A lot of the young men or the young boys and young men that I've worked with over the years definitely are looking for a safe space. They're looking for someone that they trust and that they trust. That's the first thing, that they have a relationship and that they trust to be able to share things with that they may not want to share with others. In a group setting, our space has to be really safe in order for them to feel comfortable, A, to share, and then B, to share and show emotion. And young people, I feel lighter, I feel better. I'm glad to know I'm not the only one going through this. That happens in a lot of sessions, is that they realize that they're more alike. I wouldn't have said those things that I said to him if I knew that about him, or I knew that he was going through this. And so it just makes the young people, they really understand, oh, wow, this isn't just me. And actually, before I start to tease someone or before I start to take a jab at someone, let me think a little bit more before I say what I have to say, because it could really, really affect that person. So, yeah.
I love that they're learning that from a young age, because you're saying primary school. So they're learning compassion and empathy from a very young age. And that is so important. And to know that it's coming from kids that are in need, which makes me ask the question about Hype Kings. I need to stop saying
It's okay.
Is there a criteria? How do you choose the young kings? Is there a criteria? Is it just everybody? Is it because some people are they don't have the father figure? So what is the criteria?
Yeah, it's school specific. So at Victor Scott, we started out with a select group with working with the counseling team. So we partner with the student service teams and the school administration at each school. And we handpick the young people to participate. And there are different factors that we're looking for. We're looking for, this is a program from the gang violence reduction team. So we're looking for kids who potentially, some who are in need of leadership skills and leadership potential, that may not be utilizing their skills in the right way at that moment in time. Young people who have high risk factors attached to them. In Victor Scott, we've actually decided to just take, not necessarily based off of all those factors, but to take the whole class, the whole group of the young men and from their 2 streams, and work with them together. So it's very dependent on the school. Every young person can benefit from this program, but it's definitely geared and targeted towards the higher risk young people.
Thank you for sharing that. And so I actually want to come to an audience question, because it kind of ties into a question that Jacky and I wanted to go into a little bit later on. But you did mention this is a government program. So one of the questions we have from Rashida Godwin is, how can the public support? So is there anything that the public, the general citizen can do to be a part of this, support you guys, and what does that support look like?
Yeah, in this program, we really look to to bring in positive males from our community with skill sets that align with the topics that we're working on with the young people. It's a fully funded program with the government as it's a government program at this point in time. And we're in. I think what is cool is that we're about to start a Hype Queens program with the Coalition of Child Protection. So the lovely ladies Stephanie Outerbridge and Danae Bradshaw will be partnering with those ladies to lead a Hype Queens program. And so we're in the stages of designing that curriculum and building that program. And I know there will be room for opportunity for women in general to come in as needed to support that program. But it's a pretty tight knit program at the moment. So it's coming to support and giving support is difficult unless we reach out or we put things out. Yeah.
Well, I feel like you probably already knew this, but I'm volunteering Terri and myself.
Yes, I will.
I will absolutely do it. I know Terri has a lot on her plate.
That's easy, but like even coming in and sharing your story and running your show and how that was built, and just as a different career path is always an opportunity to come in front of young people and share your story and how you got to where you are. And that's something that we in the gang violence reduction team do quite often within the middle schools and the high schools, with usually with men, but we're building it up to get into young women as well.
Now, the Hype Kings, how does the relationship go? Because obviously people grow and they get older. How does because I know you, Darren, you keep in contact with everybody. I've actually been out with you on the street, and young men have walked up and full on hugged Darren and been like, thank you, this is my boy, introduced him to all his other friends. So leading through that, can you give us a success story of somebody that you've worked with? It could be in this program, but you also have other programs under your umbrella that have gone on and have given you that motivation to keep going because of their success story.
Yeah, I have a few, and I'll share one as a young person that I met when I first started this job. And so when I first started working in this field, which is 10 years ago, so he was 12 years old at the time. He was consistently getting into trouble, getting into fights in middle school. When we went to high school, I started really working with him in high school. And I would visit him almost 4 times a week at lunchtime. I was doing work with his family, connecting him to positive opportunities. And in the midst of the pressures of his neighborhood, he would continue to get into fights, continue to get into trouble throughout that period. And it got more serious and more serious and more serious to the space where over the first 2-3 years of Barclay, even though I'm making these deposits every day, it's like, Darren, like, yo, bro, like something's got to give. Something's got to give. In his third year in Barclay, we passed a kind of crossroads where he almost was let go from the school. So the school called him in, and it was like, listen, like with this behavior, you're in front of the disciplinary panel board, and they were looking to remove him from the school. At that point, I had helped him to write a letter and to speak and prepare him for that meeting. And in that meeting, it was between myself, his mother, and his grandmother. His grandmother was just like, look, like you cannot be like this, and this cannot happen, and we can't act like this, and you can't be doing these things, and we need you to finish high school. And between grandmother's appeal and tears and a heartfelt conversation and a real conversation, all the deposits, we were able to get him to kind of figure out like what his triggers were, what was triggering him in school, how to kind of let things go and let things slide, what it actually means to let something slide per se. For a young man who's consistently been in fights, that's a tough thing to swallow, and a tough thing to accept. And we continued to work with him. And so he was able to graduate high school. He graduated high school, in his final year. He received the Principal's Cup. We got him a scholarship to go play football overseas.
Nice.
He's come back to the island, and he runs his own air conditioning company with his father, and he's doing an amazing job. I'm so proud of him. Like, that's one of the good kids that it's just like, you know, like 3 years it took for us to figure it out. But everything we talked about and all the time that was spent within those 3 years came into play his 4th year, and now he's thriving. He's 21, he's got his own apartment, like he's thriving, you know? So that's a powerful story that I have. Yeah.
That's huge.
I am like in awe of that story. I love that story. And I want to obviously, well, not obvious, it's not that obvious, but I want to congratulate you for sticking to the wicket, because it's one of those things like, you know, when you come across a challenging situation, especially with the child that's not your child, right? It's not someone that's biologically related to you.
Yeah.
So you're taking on that energy.
Yeah.
For quote unquote nothing, right? Like you're not getting anything real out of it. Like the person that you're depositing into, as you said, is like, that's the benefit, right? That person is the person that you're focused on. So I want to congratulate you on that. And thank you for not giving up on him, because we definitely need more young men like him to, you know, be able to turn their life around and be a positive example for those that are coming behind him, because his story is going to inspire someone else. And it's just trickling down, right?
And he loves to talk, and he loves to come to speak to young people. So I can call him up anytime. And he'll come and share his story with young people. He'll share his story with professionals, in the social service professionals. So he's open to talk. So he's a top-notch one there.
Yeah. Love that. So we have an audience question coming in. So Sean Smith wants to know, how does your program measure its success? Do you track outcomes once someone leaves the program? So you kind of touched on it just now with that success story, but is there like anything formal that you guys kind of do, and what does that look like?
Yeah, so we definitely are tracking things. So we have, with the students, we're measuring, we have pre and post surveys from the participants. We're consistently doing student interviews, parent interviews, and teacher interviews. And we're actually tracking the behavioral challenges as things arise within the school system. So from there, we've been able to kind of gather some reports in different areas. And so I can say that, you know, that 93% of the students in our program definitely have self-reported that they have increased skills, tools, and opportunities to self-regulate. We have students basically saying that the ability to make rational decisions and thought out rational decisions has increased. 98% of the students have self-reported that they actively think about setting goals, who they want to be, who they are, and have identified future career choices. And then we have the parent comments and parent feedback. So we are tracking those things. As students leave our program, this program is designed, and kind of the gang violence reduction team is designed so that this is in the primary schools we're catching these guys. Our team is in pre-COVID, and we're working on getting back in the middle schools and in the high schools. So the relationships that we build from primary school, we're able to tap back in as needed and hold as the kids go up throughout the school system.
I absolutely love that.
Now, I know you're talking about how people how the kids are learning to self-regulate and other programs that you have the kids in. But how do you utilize these sports around you to help these kids with release of tension and anger and anything? Just, you know, because, you know, us, we play tennis when we're having a stress day to release stress and to get, you know, decompress and regulate ourselves.
Yeah.
But
and so in that I think we look to see what activities the Hype Kings are in. And for those who aren't in any, we strongly encourage the parents and the schools or the school counselors to get them connected into a positive activity. It may be sports, it may be a lot of the kids that I found really, really liked art. So connecting them to an art class, or making sure they have supplies at home to draw and to build, or to different things. So it's really dependent on each student. We've been able to help them to partner. In summers, we make sure that our kids are in camps. So that's a step. That's something that we can do. So yeah, those are kind of the areas that we do.
Good. I was just making sure, because obviously they say idle hands is the devil's playground. I'm probably wrong with it, whatever. But the more time that you have doing nothing, the more trouble you get into. And you're already telling me that these are at-risk kids. So to know that they're out there burning energy, getting endorphins, the happy chemicals surging through their body, that's a plus on top of everything that they're already doing. So with that being said, I know there are probably some people out there that want to continue this conversation with you. There are some men that are looking at this and saying, oh, I want to volunteer and talk to some kids and get involved as well, but they don't know how to get involved. So with this, my final question, how can those that want to get involved and support you and learn more get in contact with you and your organization?
So I'm government. I work at the Ministry of National Security. So you can call the Ministry of National Security and ask to speak to Darren Woods, or you can email me at dewoods@gov.bm, dewoods@gov.bm.
Perfect. And before you go, Darren, sorry to cut you off. I do want to say this to your face. Don't freak out. It's all good things. But because I am right next to you, not always, I love what you are doing for the community. I don't think you realize how much you're actually doing and how much it's needed. But I just truly want to let you know that I love you and support you and appreciate you. And I'm so proud of you and everything that you do. Okay? We're not going to cry. We're not going to cry.
Thank you. I'll call you after.
But in honor of what Jacky just said, Karen Simmons has a similar comment for you, Darren. Pouring into young people is key, and you continue to do this. So we absolutely celebrate you. We're giving you your flowers, and we want to thank you once again for joining us bright and early on this Wednesday morning,
No worries.
Darren.
Anytime, ladies. Anytime. Thank you.
You're most welcome. So, audience, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back to get your thoughts on our conversation with Darren, as well as transition to our joke time with Jacky. So make sure you do not go anywhere.
Same smooth sounds, different name. BCG Radio, home of Bermuda's most engaging morning talk shows, The Daily Hour and Good Day Bermuda. Download the app, available for Android and Apple devices. BCG Radio, your station for conversations and entertainment.
Welcome back to Good Day Bermuda, supported by Pizza House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terry Tuku alongside Jacky Lambert. If you haven't already, go ahead and give us a reaction to today's episode. If you're watching on Facebook, let us know in the comments your thoughts on our conversation with Darren. We know that Jacky is team Darren. She loves Darren absolutely with all of her heart. So we know her thoughts on it. But I definitely want to say that not only do we know that conversation is needed, I think it's really crucial that we learned like some of those things around the criteria and like who they're targeting, because I think it is kind of key, because someone watching today's episode might know a young king, who could benefit from this program, and maybe they haven't, realized that it's an option for them.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that, if you are just joining us and you missed the conversation with Darren, don't worry. You can always catch the replay, because he shared a lot of great information. And I absolutely loved our conversation with him. And it looks like Sean Smith enjoyed the conversation as well. Thank you, Sean. So Jack, you want to share your thoughts before we get into joke time?
Always. I always have thoughts. No, like you said, this conversation is something that needs to be had. I saw on Twitter yesterday where somebody was just like, Bermuda's not for Black men. And to know that there are people out there that are trying to make Bermuda and its space more welcoming for Black men, and starting from the youngest of ages, which is inspiring and motivational for me to go out and do more. So as Darren said, we'll be chatting after the show.
Absolutely.
As always. But it was a great conversation. Lots of information that's needed to be put out there because some people just don't know that's happening. So to know that that's happening is definitely a good realization.
Absolutely. And so before we get into joke time, Jack, I want to bring in 2 comments. So Kathy Rogers says, excellent conversation and good to know this program is in place. Future is looking good for the Kings. Absolutely. And Rashida Godwin says that was great. Thank you so much, both of you, for letting us know your thoughts on today's episode. Jackie, without further ado, I am ready. I hope you are ready. It's joke time.
I hope you like my jokes today. I will always
like your jokes.
Why did the barber win the race? That was a tongue twister.
He buzzed across the finish line?
Ooh. Because he took a shortcut. Ooh, what did the mermaid wear to the math class?
The mermaid wore to the math class? I don't know.
An algebra.
An algebra.
Last one. What do you call a hippie's wife?
A hippie's wife? A hipster?
Mississippi.
On that note, audience, go ahead and let us know your reaction to Jackie's jokes. Drop the emojis in the comments. Looks like Sean Smith enjoyed the jokes. Karen Simmons says our conversation today with Darren was a great one. Thank you so much, Karen, for watching and engaging with us. As always, we hope that today's Feel Good Vibe of the day has you ready to make it a great one. Do make sure you come back to support and watch another episode, of Good Day Bermuda, supported by Pete's House and Aliana's Restaurant. I'm Terri Suku alongside Jackie Lambert, and we trust we will see you tomorrow for another Feel Good conversation. Until the next episode, peace and have a good day, Bermuda.